Greetings and welcome to MoonTeller Episode 3. Merry Christmas, Cody! Topic: Can reality be hijacked? The directed promotion of information to literally hijack the minds of people. These are my theories. I consider how seemingly unexplainable things are explainable because we exist in a digital reality. Today's topic: hijacking the purposeful AI programming of non-free thinkers. This is also known as mass formation and mob thinking. I am referring to the fact that most people within the Western world seem to have lost their ability to think rationally or individually during the COVID pandemic years. This lack of rational thinking has continued into the present as world governments cede more and more of their national rights and power to non-governmental organizations. These are also known as NGOs. This cessation of rights has citizens acting contrary to their own best interest. Strangely, the same people who accepted without question all of the propaganda regarding COVID and the pandemic appear to be the same people who want to put forth this secession of national sovereignty. They are supporting, without question, anything the media tells them. The World Health Organization, an NGO, has a bid to create a world pandemic response legislation that grants the WHO authority over all of its member nations during times that it has declared a pandemic. Please keep in mind that a determination of a pandemic is made by a single person who happens to be the person who gains all the power from that declaration. This person is the Director General of the WHO. Think about that for a moment. The Director General of the WHO can declare a pandemic without any vote of its members, and this declaration grants the WHO authority over all of its member nations, which happens to be the entire Western world and many other countries. So, if this world pandemic response legislation passes, a single person will have authority over every nation that is a member of the WHO. Currently, most member nations have already preliminarily agreed to authorizing this. But why would people act so obviously against their own best interest? Why would people willingly give away their rights and authority over themselves to someone else? In this video, I consider the mechanism that takes away all choice in non-free thinking people. Non-free thinking personalities are people who exist in our digital reality that don't have true free will. They are subject to and limited by their programming. In a computer program that is designed to promote innovation, but is also designed to retain stability, there must be two kinds of personalities. The first kind of personality is connected to the AI that maintains the program. This kind of personality appears to have free will, but is actually making limited choices based on a range of approved options. I would call this group evaluators. They don't have true free will, but they have a range of options available to them. This group serves as a moderating influence on society and culture. This group allows for innovation, but only after a certain ratio of them has independently deemed a new idea is being beneficial. After a ratio for a new idea is reached, then the new idea is presented to the rest of the personalities as universal knowledge or instinct. I believe it is this function that can and has been hijacked by people or entities with an agenda. Once they understand how the algorithm works, then they can manipulate it however they want to receive whatever results they want. The second kind of personality that makes up our reality has true free will and complete creativity. Their thinking is not moderated by an AI control source, but rather it is dependent on their own personal ability, drives, and personal experience. Non-free thinkers make up the bulk of people, and true free thinkers make up only a minority of people. This situation is meant to maintain our culture, but also allows for improvement and innovation, but only when they are considered beneficial. This control is necessary to keep our culture from becoming chaotic by succumbing to every new idea or thought that arises. Innovation of technology is moderated by a mathematical function. By recommending information based on what has been screened and accepted by non-free thinking personalities, whom I called evaluators, who are programmed to make choices based on what they already accept as beneficial, then theoretically only beneficial ideas will be recommended and established by the moderating AI as universal knowledge. If enough non-free thinkers accept a new idea, then the new idea may eventually become what we think of as instinct, or universal knowledge. This function is what I identify as the cultural moderating function of the AI algorithm. This allows innovation that is unique to each culture, but it also ensures that there will be constancy and smooth transitions. Each non-free personality, or evaluator, exists as part of a feedback loop between the AI and itself. When the AI recognizes that a new idea has been innovated by a free thinker, and think of a free thinker as an innovator, the AI uses information gathered from the non-free thinkers, the evaluators, to determine whether to add new information to the universal knowledge database that is available to all personalities as what we feel as instinct. This function is dependent on three things to work properly. First, an algorithm that is programmed to respond to certain information standards. Second, that information is provided to the AI for it to make determinations. And third, that personalities exist to experience the new information so that they can make determinations on whether the information will be beneficial. This decision is based on their own individual predetermined programming, which is meant to ferret out whether any innovation would be beneficial. If an individual non-free thinker determines new information is beneficial, then it will be recommended to others. When a certain ratio of non-free thinkers determine that new information is beneficial, then the new information could be provided to everyone via universal knowledge. To non-free thinkers, this knowledge is presented as instinct, and they won't question it. This may seem far-fetched, but human beings have been aware of this unseen influence that seems to recommend innovation for many, many hundreds, maybe thousands of years. This is how innovation travels long distances over populations that are separated from one another. When the idea is good enough, it presents itself. This photograph is a good example of that. Notice how similar the pyramids are, even though they're separated by thousands of miles, and the cultures have nothing in common with each other. The idea itself is a good one, and it seems to present itself complete in the minds of the builders. In recent years, people have referred to this as zeitgeist. New Agers have called it the universal matrix, and spiritualists referred to it as universal knowledge, sometimes the Akashic records. It is a function that explains why people suddenly started farming all over the world around 10,000 years ago, or how unconnected cultures suddenly started building pyramids, strikingly similar pyramids, all around the world around 5,000 years ago, and why people started building with bricks instead of mud. They started weaving cloth and smelting metal. This is an unseen connectivity of information that many philosophers through the ages have noticed and wondered about. There's no rational explanation that satisfactorily explains how trends like these occur, but philosophers have attempted to provide metaphysical explanations for how or why this unseen transfer of information happens. and one of the best documented of these metaphysical explanations is called the 100 Monkeys theory. The 100 Monkeys theory was invented by Lyle Watson in the 1950s after he and some other primate researchers experienced a phenomenon that could not be explained using rational science, but it had been documented scientifically nonetheless. He and his colleagues were studying monkey troops on various isolated islands. As they were doing their research, they noticed that a specific female monkey had discovered that if she soaked her food in the ocean water, it became salty and therefore more tasty to her. This monkey started rushing out to the surf to salt her food every time she ate. Eventually, she began teaching her babies to flavor their food in the same way. Over a few years, other monkeys in the troop started following her example, and this made sense to the researchers because it was a transfer of knowledge and behavior that occurred from direct exposure to new and beneficial information. And for several years, they documented other monkeys in the troop incorporating this behavior into their own behavior as well, through experience. But this is where the story leaves the understandable science behind. On a particular visit, after being away for several months, the researchers visited the first island with the female who had discovered how to flavor her food. On this occasion, they were shocked to discover that after years of only a few monkeys at a time following her example, suddenly all of the monkeys on the island were running out to the surf to salt their food. The researchers were taken aback because it had taken years to teach this behavior to a few dozen monkeys through direct learning. But suddenly the behavior was exhibited in all of the 100 or so monkeys that lived on the island. But what was even more perplexing was that when the researchers left the main island and began visiting all of the monkey troops on all of the surrounding islands that were too far to reach in any way other than helicopter, the salting behavior was suddenly showing up in all of the monkeys on all of the islands. It was as if they just suddenly knew that taking their food to the ocean and dunking it into the surf for flavor was a good idea. And this began the 100 Monkeys theory. It is the notion that a new idea that occurs to a person is just that, it's a single idea. But when enough other people see the idea and like it, then the idea spreads to others. Seemingly as an original thought or instinctive behavior, it is the zeitgeist of its day, but in reality it is universal knowledge provided by the AI that moderates culture. When enough individual experiencers accept the idea as beneficial, then the AI presents the idea as instinctive knowledge to everyone. Bad ideas won't catch on if the first few non-thinkers who are exposed to them, the evaluators, determine that they are not beneficial ideas. However, when enough personalities accept the idea as being beneficial, then the AI will begin offering it to others. Some people consider it a hard and fast number as 100, like the 100 Monkeys theory. But I think most people who consider this to be an actual persuasive thing that is occurring understand that it's a ratio of people. A certain ratio of people have to endorse the idea as beneficial for the AI to consider it also to be beneficial. I personally believe the ratio is around 30%, maybe as high as 40, but 35% seems like the right number to me. And what's even more interesting is this function could be so fine-tuned that the algorithm gives a new idea more emphasis in the same way that a new video is given more emphasis when it is first posted. If a lot of people view it right away, they like it and they share it within a short time, then the algorithm keeps promoting it in exactly the same way that YouTube algorithm promotes a new popular video or Twitter promotes a new and popular tweet. In our culture, a new idea can literally go viral, which means that the controlling AI offers it a lot and with more emphasis if it seems new and popular. Can the AI that moderates our digital reality be influenced by the AI that moderates the internet? To me, that seems like a very interesting question because I suspect that the AI that moderates culture only senses data. When human beings invented the internet, we created a digital reality that exists within the digital reality that we perceive as our own reality. The internet and other digital sources rest inside of our own digital reality like nesting dolls. Because the AI algorithm that moderates culture operates on functions regarding the data it receives, then AI will be influenced by information it receives from all sources, including devices made by human beings. In fact, I don't think it can tell the difference between what we think of as real reality versus what we think of as meta-reality. Now, consider that for a moment. What we have come to think of as pop culture evolved during the 1950s and 60s, and it was related to the new media sources that were exploding at the time, specifically television, radio, and the ability to print all kinds of magazines and get them delivered to people all at once. The non-free thinkers, the evaluators, began being inundated with information around this time. Television provided a lot of information all at once to a lot of people. Because the feedback loop between the moderating AI and the non-free thinking personalities, or the evaluators, all of them thinking the same thing all at the same time, switched the AI on to recommending these new seemingly popular ideas. But really it was just the AI being inundated with the same information all at once. The evaluators began making choices just based on the information they were being exposed to most frequently via television, radio, and other media trends. And that's really what pop culture is. The AI gets flooded by all the non-free thinkers liking the same thing at the same time, and so, like an echo chamber, the AI begins promoting the same ideas as well. It's like a 100 monkeys scenario on overdrive. All over the culture, non-free thinkers who are meant to be evaluating information and making decision about its merit, whether it is beneficial or not, and they're meant to be using their own internal programming, instead become slaves to the algorithm that is directing them to like certain things. Then the algorithm that is meant to endorse new information based on whether evaluators like it becomes a slave as well. The AI and the people whose job it is to evaluate information become more influenced simply by the kind of information and the frequency of the information than by the quality of the information. Their ability to evaluate becomes skewed and incapacitated. The feedback loop of information and evaluation that is supposed to stabilize and moderate culture has become dominated by the sheer amount of repetitive information that is perpetuated. AI senses this repetitive information as affirmation of beneficial ideas. When enough quote-unquote affirmation is received, then these ideas are presented to non-free thinkers as instinct or universal knowledge, things they must accept as being true. This key function is likely where the intentional hijacking of reality has occurred. The feedback loop is precarious enough in the media age with normal influencing agents like celebrities and advertising. But if you take into consideration the purposeful suppression of information by those who run social media platforms, the legal propaganda perpetuated by governments, and the infiltration of fake bot accounts that artificially amplified affirmation signals, then the AI had no choice but to endorse all of the COVID messaging as universal knowledge or instinctive, something that feels absolutely correct and true to the evaluators. Remember, they're not true free thinkers. They don't have that capability. They are subject to their programming. And so these ideas became truth to them without question. Reality had literally been created by the messenger. In this case, truth was literally a function that switched on when enough information passed through the AI that moderates universal knowledge. In other words, the ideas went viral. Because free thinkers are not subject to this takeover, they are creative thinkers. They are not bound into the feedback loop of the AI algorithm. They look on mystified by the behavior of the others. It is bizarre to keep giving one's autonomy over to the group, especially when it's against your own best interest, but no amount of rationality can get non-free thinkers out of their irrational mindset, because the AI is telling them that they are right, and the AI is being hijacked by bad actors. Ironically, non-free thinkers believe that free thinkers are the insane people. It's like a self-evident truth to them, and they don't need facts or logic to support their beliefs, because their beliefs are coming directly from the hijacked AI algorithm. Still, you can't be angry at non-free thinkers, because every instinct to act against their own self-interest feels right to them, and this drive cannot be changed because it is direct programming from the AI. The only way to get out of this dangerous groupthink cycle is by manipulating the AI back to sending out normal cultural signals again. Somehow, the AI must be triggered to start sending out rational programming again. We need to put a single message all over social media, and we need to repeat this message clearly and repetitively to anyone who will listen. It needs to be a message that inoculates the evaluators against falling for and perpetuating similar untruths. Remember, they are allowed to make decisions based on experience. So if we can get this idea into their experience, it can play a part in future decisions that they make. I think the best way to do this is just to point out that some people are currently bragging about how much money, how much prestige, and how much power that they gained from the suffering and the lockdowns of others during the recent COVID takeover of reality. But who benefited from the entire Western world being locked down and unemployed, poked, prodded, and manipulated? Well, a quick search of the internet will bring you to websites of members of the World Economic Forum, or the WEF, and the World Health Organization, or the WHO, whose membership strangely overlaps significantly. These people are openly bragging to anyone who will listen to them that the COVID pandemic was a hugely successful financial endeavor to them, that they made billions of dollars, and that it was the largest transfer of wealth that they could have imagined, and that it has set the stage to provide even more control over people and profits during the next pandemic, which, consequently, they are openly planning and stating will occur within only a couple of years. And to be clear, at this very moment in governments all over the world, the WHO is helping to create and instill legislation in the various member nations throughout the Western world. This legislation allows for forcing vaccination against your will, and even putting people who refuse to be vaccinated and those who become infected into forced internment camps. They have also removed any verbiage related to preserving human dignity from their charter. The legislation that they are proposing is effective regardless of any charters or bills of rights in individual member nations that forbids this sort of foreign tyranny. It basically just goes around it. And to make matters worse, this worldwide pandemic legislation, not even a big secret. The WHO is providing this information to anyone who cares to listen, and it is posting it in their many videos all over the internet. They're calling it the Worldwide Pandemic Response. Once a member nation agrees to this, they are giving tacit endorsement of providing the WHO ability to come into their country and do whatever it deems is necessary to control whatever it calls a pandemic. Don't just take my word for it. I have posted this link to a video with Dr. Drew and Dr. Kelly Victory as they discuss this with Sasha Latipova. This is a very recent video, and if you put in the exact link and go to that exact time, it will take you to exactly the point that we are discussing right now, although their entire video is very interesting and I would recommend you watch it. But pursuant to what we are discussing right now, this is where you would need to go. I am suggesting that we free-thinking creative types formulate our own repetitive messaging strategy to hijack the AI back into normal rational thinking and maybe pull some of these evaluators out of their dangerous groupthink and inoculate them against being persuaded by the WEF and the WHO in the future. If freethinkers actively reject the WEF and the WHO and all of their worldwide pandemic preparedness measures in a unified, clear, and succinct way, then the AI will sense it. And it's possible that if a critical ratio of people reject the idea, then the sense of rejection will be sent out to all the non-free thinkers as universal knowledge or a feeling of instinct. And this will have the same effect as banning these ideas and shutting them right down. Unlike the AI that moderates social media platforms, the AI that moderates our digital reality is a recipient of all forms of information. It comprehends conversations, telephone calls, letters, emails, texts, social media posts, videos, and even prayer and meditation. It comprehends you speaking out loud or communicating in any way. This is the reason they try so hard to censor us in our posts during the pandemic. The AI that moderates our reality wouldn't have been so easy to deceive if alternative views had been allowed to surface. We must reject this forced silence, and we must unite in a single message. The single message? Reject the WHO and the worldwide pandemic response legislation. I repeat, the single message we must repeat to anyone and everyone to keep our reality from being hijacked by bad actors who want to profit from the fear of pandemics is reject the WHO and worldwide pandemic response legislation. Reject this legislation and reject any politician or business person who openly says it's a good idea. Use any platform you feel comfortable with. Communicate this message in any way you are able. This includes social media, videos, face-to-face conversations, prayer, meditation, or even just speaking out loud to yourself. Whatever you feel comfortable doing, please just repeat this message as much as you can. And one final push. Get this message out, especially on April 30th, 2023. Pray this, meditate on it, or speak it out loud as frequently as you can to anyone who will listen, or say it over and over to yourself all day long on April 30th, 2023. If we all unite together in one thought, it will affect the AI. Thank you so much for watching. Everyone take care, and I hope to have another video out soon.